Hi everybody, and welcome to our week number 3 Twitch live stream for my intro psych classes. I hope everyone is doing well. Not enjoying this super hot weather that we're having again. It felt like fall and now it kind of feels warm. But other than that, I hope everyone is doing pretty well. I see a bunch of you getting logged in, putting your names in the chat. Can someone let me know on your end, is everything coming through okay? Can you hear me and see me? You can give me a yes or like a thumbs up if you can hear and see me okay. Awesome, that's great. All right, thank you so much. And again, I'm sorry that we are now at 11:45, but that gives me time to get back to my house where there is a much better internet connection and we can have a stream that isn't so interrupted. So anyway, let's go ahead and go over to Canvas together and take a look at what we have going on this week. And what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of feedback from the previous weeks since they have ended. So we are currently in week number 3, and we're in weeks 3 and 4, which are all done on 11/3 at 11:59 p.m. Hard to imagine that November is within 2 weeks. That's wild to me. This semester has gone so fast. But what I want to do before I talk about this week is just give you a little bit of feedback on weeks 1 and 2, especially since they were our first weeks that we had. And I just want to give you kind of an overview of how people did on the discussions, on that first exam, see if you have any questions, and then we'll move on to week number 3. Okay, so if we look at weeks 1 and 2, overall, and I do have 2 sections of this class that are going at the same time, most of you did a really wonderful job. Great job on the discussions, great job on the exam. I saw a lot of really great things. Let me just give you a little bit of feedback just in case you didn't do as well as you would have liked. Hopefully you can use it to learn and do better in this 2-week section. As a side note as well, I did grade everything Monday night, which is traditionally what will happen. And so hopefully you were able to find your grades and your feedback. If you weren't, I did send out an announcement on how to find all that information. So if you struggle to find it, I believe too, if you go up here, there's a grades finding your feedback. You can also go there to find it. So for discussion number 1, a lot of you did a beautiful job on this one, talking about what you thought of with psychology, kind of going into the details of the subfields. This one was the one that was really worth the most points, and some of you struggled a little bit with forgetting to define nature and nurture. Some of you just kind of responded to the quote, but didn't define the 2 terms. A few people also define nature as like trees and plants in the world around you, which isn't wrong, but it isn't necessarily correct in the context of what we're covering. Nature referring to biology and genetics, nurture more your experiences and the environment. I also saw that some people did not reply to a classmate. Don't forget to reply to a peer. With every single discussion, you are doing that peer response. And it's only worth 2 points, but those 2 points will add up. If you figure that we have 2 discussions every single week, you don't want to be missing out on those 2 very easy points. So that was discussion 1. Discussion 2, I enjoyed all of your ideas for research projects. A lot of you came up with some fun topics of what you would want to study, which I thought was fantastic. Biggest reason people lost points here was just not going into enough detail. And I would say just in general, if you didn't get full points, if you found that you got like 12 or 13, 14 points, give me a little bit more. All right, I definitely gave that piece of feedback to several of you of like elaborate in your responses, go into a little bit more detail. If it helps to think about them as almost like mini papers, then do that. But make sure that you're really showing off your knowledge and understanding. And again, don't forget the peer response, which is worth 2 points every single time. Discussion number 3, this one was looking at the brain and the 10% myth of the brain and how neurons communicate with each other. Most of you did, again, great job overall. I'm seeing some really great things coming out of everyone. Biggest reason people lost points here was number 2. And I kind of gave you a heads up on this in the live stream last week, that I was looking for you to mention electrochemical communication, talk about ions and neurotransmitters in that whole process. If you didn't mention those things, you definitely lost some points. If you didn't go into a lot of detail, you lost a couple of points. And of course, the peer response as well. So kind of in general for all of these, if you found that you didn't get full points, don't forget to elaborate a little bit more this week and moving forward. Discussion 4, I hope you enjoyed smelling some things and kind of talking about smell memories. Biggest reason people lost points here was this one. Or I'm sorry, number 2, kind of not describing what smell memories are and how they occur. Some of you said, well, they're like are, you know, when you have a memory related to smell. Yes, definitely. But I was looking for you to talk about why they occur, how they occur, mentioning the limbic system and the amygdala and the hippocampus and conditioning and all the stuff that came up in the articles. So again, for the first 4 discussions, first 2 weeks, most of you, you know, pat yourself on the back, really nice job. If you missed a few points, just give me more moving forward. Make sure you elaborate in your responses, and don't forget the peer response. For the first exam, again, a lot of you did fantastically, and the average score, I wrote this down and I emailed it out to you. Let me just find it. So the average score was an 88, which is amazing. 88 is a very high B. The average amount of time people took was 59 minutes, which tells me that you had more than enough time, as you had up to 75 to take it. So most of you did a really great job. And I would encourage you to use the exam as a learning opportunity. If you like your score, if you like how you did, then approach this next unit in the same way. If you wish you had done a little bit better, now is a great time to kind of change things up, right? So study differently. If you didn't do the study guide, maybe do it next time. That is really like a big piece of advice that I would give you. And I do have a little like reflection self-assessment this week that you're going to take just to kind of reflect on what you're doing so far to help encourage you to evaluate that. So again, with the first 2 weeks, really nicely done. Not a lot of you took advantage of the extra credit, but definitely a handful of you did. Those 2 points will definitely help for a discussion or maybe a couple of points off the exam. But are there any questions about weeks 1 and 2 before I move on to talk about this week, which is week number 3? Any questions or thoughts or comments or anything from the past 2 weeks before we move forward? I'll give you just a second just in case any of you think of something. And if you think of something later, of course, you can always email me. If you want a little bit more feedback about a post that you made, you can always email me as well, and I'd be happy to give you more detailed feedback. But again, a lot of you should feel very good about the first 2 weeks. And now we move into weeks 3 and 4. So for this week, we'll focus on week 3 since that's where we're at. Next week, we'll focus on week 4 and exam 2 and all that kind of stuff, but one step at a time. So for this week, you have 2 chapters, 2 discussions, and then a little self-assessment, which I just mentioned a moment ago. So we're looking at consciousness, which is like sleep and dreams and hypnosis and drugs, and then learning, different types of conditioning and observational learning. You have 2 different discussions and then your little self-assessment. So remember, for every single chapter, you're going to want to do 3 things. Read the chapter in the ebook, read through the chapter lecture that I posted, and then watch the lecture video. All right, so those are the 3 things to make sure you do, and all of them together will really give you a good understanding of the materials. Yes, they're only available for those weeks. So right now, I'll give you one today, which is available all the way through week 4. So during that 2-week chunk of time, you can do it at any point in that time, but it does need to be done in the weeks that we're in. I hope that makes sense. So I'll give you one today, and then I'll give you one next week, and those can be done anytime before this 2-week deadline. So read the chapter for chapter 5, read it for 6. Don't forget to read through and click on any links in the video, in the lectures. Watch the lecture video and take notes. That's me lecturing like I would in class. And then let's look at the 2 discussions that you have for this week. Of course, you're welcome, Giselle, no worries. And so discussion number 5, for example, this one is related to the topic of consciousness. And as always, you have my directions at the top, my little video underneath it. And as I just spent some time talking about, don't forget to really elaborate in your responses and think about these like little mini papers. But for this one, you're going to be thinking about dreams. You're going to be thinking about a dream that you've had recently. I also have a little article that I want you to read. In my video, I went over some tips for how to remember dreams. If you're someone who struggles with that, you're always welcome to use an old dream that you remember. You could use a dream of somebody that you know. So like a family member, a friend, a partner, whatever, a child, it could be anyone. I had a weird dream last night that like we were on a cruise. I think it's because we're getting ready for a cruise, and they ran out of food. Maybe I was hungry in the dream. I don't know, but they had ran out of all of the food on the ship, and we were all like hungry. I must have gone to bed hungry, so randomly. But watch my video for some tips on how to remember a dream. Read through the little article. And then you're going to select a dream that you had recently and that you remember. You don't have to describe it in full detail, but you're going to give me an overview of the dream. And then you're going to analyze and explain that dream from 2 different dream theories that you read about in the article or in the textbook. And so you're going to tell me what the theory is, make sure you explain it, and then you're going to link it to your dream. So I'm looking to see that you can define and describe the theory, but also link it to the dream and use it to explain it. And then you're going to talk a little bit about why do you personally think that we dream? What do you think dreams are for you? So this one bullet really here is worth all of the points. Make sure that you definitely describe the theories that you go into. Make sure you connect it to your dream and like explain all of that for me. And that's what you're doing for this one. And of course, don't forget the peer response. For discussion number 6, you're looking at the topic of learning and conditioning. And this tends to be a little bit challenging topic for people. And just know that going in, that operant and classical conditioning can be a little tricky. But I gave you lots of examples which will hopefully help. As always, you have my instructions and my video. This one, you're going to watch a short clip from The Office that has an example of classical conditioning in it. And then after you watch the clip, you're going to think about the process and explain to me how Jim was able to condition Dwight, giving me all of the appropriate terminology and explaining. You're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR in the clip. And then other than amusing pranks, which the clip is definitely a prank, how could you use this concept of classical conditioning either on yourself or someone else in your personal, academic, or social life? Make sure that your example is classical conditioning. If you use words like reinforce or punish or reward and punish, you're in the realm of operant conditioning. So just kind of use the example here and the examples in the book to help you, but you're going to think about a way you could use that in your life. So when you're ready, you'll hit reply, and then again, don't forget to reply to a classmate. I did also add one little component, and you'll do a couple of these, but my goal with this little self-assessment right here is to get you to think about, how did the first 2 weeks go for you? Is there anything you want to change? Anything you want to keep the same? Right? So it's a little 5-question survey. It's worth 5 points. You have as much time as you need to take it. And please be honest. I'm not looking for anything in particular. This is more for you. I want you to think about, am I happy with what I'm doing, or do I need to make any adjustments as I move forward? Okay, so those are the big things for you to work on this week, right? Reading those 2 chapters and lecture videos, discussions 5 and 6, the little self-assessment video assignment that I have for you. I will, of course, give you the extra credit question here in a moment. And I do have a couple of reminders for you as well. So first one, I typed this up already, so I'm going to put it in the chat. Don't forget every week to double check your subscription status. Remember, it's only good for 30 days, so some of you will probably fall off. If you are watching this later as a recording, you can still get extra credit by answering the questions as long as you are subscribed on Twitch. So take a moment to do that. Remember, I have instructions on how to do that for free. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. The other reminder I have for you, and I'll put this here in the chat, our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, October 30th at 11:45 a.m. Okay, so I'm trying to go through and change all of them in Canvas from 11:30 to 11:45, but if I missed one, just know that they'll be at 11:45 moving forward. That gives me enough time to get home and have good Wi-Fi rather than really poor connection at the college. So next week we'll go over week number 4, the discussions, exam number 2, and of course I'll give you that extra credit question next week as well. Let me give you the extra credit question for this week and show you where you can find the video and how you can answer it. So this is the week number 3 Twitch extra credit. So you're going to watch a short video that's posted in the lecture called The Attack of the Quack. It's like a 2-minute video with another prank related to classical conditioning. And then you're going to identify the US, UR, CS, and CR in the clip. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing for the extra credit. Let me show you where you can find the video. It's in the Chapter 6 lecture on learning. So if you click here, it's on the very last page where it says application. And there's a little video here on this page, right here, hopefully it'll load in a second, called The Attack of the Quack. It's a little boy brushing his teeth. It's got a quack sound in it. You're going to be identifying those components. And then once you have watched the video and you've identified them, you can answer that question under this week's content for extra credit. So you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 3 right here. And then up at the top, click on start assignment. And it brings up that box where you can type your response. Wow, I cannot type and talk. Never have been able to. Then you'll hit submit, get your confetti burst and balloons. Why not? They should have been red, right? It's almost Halloween. They could have been the little red it balloon, but no. So make sure you get everything done from this week. Next week, as I mentioned, we will focus on week 4. You are, of course, welcome to work ahead. Weeks 3 and 4 are open for you. Everything from this 2-week section is due by Sunday, November 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so I think that is everything that I wanted to share and go over with you. I will, of course, hang out for a little bit if you have any questions for me. If not, you are welcome to go. Short and sweet. It'll kind of be like in that 20-minute period of time moving forward. So thank you so much for those of you who joined me. Thank you as well. I'm going to write thank you here in the chat. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week, the day before Halloween. It is definitely prime candy eating time right now. So again, I hope all of you are doing well, right? And I will hope to see you next week. So I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself. But if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will see you all next Wednesday. Okay, I'm pretty sure that I have answered all of my emails. Let me see. Yeah, I'm looking in my, unless you sent it today. Yeah, if you sent it today, then I will get it and I will go answer it. But otherwise, I'm not sure I see anything. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't see an email. Oh, Nick, maybe it looked like you said you could email it to me. Yeah, you feel free to email me your question if you have one about the exam. Yeah, I see your screenshot, but if you have a question about the test, you can ask me here or you can email me. That's totally fine either way. But I do see your email with your score, which I will update today. Oh, sure, yeah. Okay, so I have your score. Yeah, I haven't gotten through my emails for the day yet today, so I will definitely update it sometime today. Of course, you're welcome. All right, everyone, if you think of any questions later, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, have a wonderful week, and I will hope to see you all next Wednesday.